So let's make sure we can use the token everywhere. For that, let's go to the product start file first of all, where we already have the token added. And in there, we're using it for fetching the products. Now, of course, we also need it for adding a product. We add it in exactly the same way, $off at the end, and then here point at off token with string interpolation, and this is no longer a const, but now a runtime constant value with final. Now, of course, we also need it for updating a product, so in there, let's add off and set that equal to the off token as well. And also here for deleting a product, so here also off equal to off token like this. Now there's one place that's a bit more tricky, and that's inside of a single product. There we also send a HTTP request to update the favorite status of that product. We also need the token in here. Now for a single product, that means that we also need to, well, kind of get the token, right? Now you could also add the token here as a property and then simply pass the token in from inside products, which is where you do create a single product here. And there, of course, you could also forward your off token if you wanted that in product. But there also is another route you could take, and either way is okay in my opinion. You can go to the place where you in the end trigger that HTTP request, and that's from inside the product item Dart file here. There we have the toggle favorite status call. And in there, we could also say that this method simply accepts the token. Then we just have to make sure that we have the token available here, and we can, of course, make it available here in this widget if we want to. So both ways are okay. I just want to show this alternative. In product Dart, in the providers folder, we can say that we expect the token as an argument to toggle favorite status, so that here we can also add it with string interpolation, that token we're getting here. And now in product item, where we need that token, we can get our off data or whatever you want to name it with provider off, and then point at the off class, because of course we are providing that here in our main Dart file, right? So of course we can get access to that. For that we just need to import the off provider class here into this file like this. And now here we forward the context. I don't want to set up a listener, I just want to get the token one time. And now with off data available here, of course, we can forward off data.token. And that's it. This also now passes the token and we can use it here. So this is one possible approach. Now we also need the token for our orders, not in the cart, but in the orders. And there I will use the same approach as for products. So besides having my orders here, I want to have my off token in here, which actually should be final. And for that, I expect to get that through the constructor. And I also want to set my orders here though. And with that, we can go to the main Dart file where we provide the orders and use the same approach as for products. Instead of this provider here, we use the change notifier proxy provider like that. Instead of having value here, we have a builder. We need to set the generic types here for this constructor, and that is our dependency and then the value we're about to provide. The dependency is off and we're about to provide orders, so we need to set this. And the builder now is a function that receives a context, receives our off object and our previous orders object, and returns a new orders object here. And in that new orders object, we want to pass that token like this, like this here, and our previous orders. So here we'll have the previous orders, check if it's equal to null, in which case I want to pass in an empty array, empty list. And otherwise, if it's not null, we can access the orders here and initialize the orders in the newly built orders object with our old orders. With that, we should actually be able to send all requests in authenticated state. So let's do a full refresh and log in again. And we'll of course also work on making sure that we don't always have to log in. So let's log in here. And let's try favoriting this. Seems to work. Let's reload that page. It's still there. Let's place an order. Order now seems to work. Let's go to orders. And here I get an error actually. Let's quickly check. Oh yeah, makes sense. Getting the token in orders is nice. We also have to use it for the requests. So here for fetch and select orders, we want to use auth and then use our auth token. And of course, this therefore is a final URL and not a const URL. And do the same for adding an order. And by the way, there I didn't get an error when we tried to add the order in the cart because we haven't implemented error handling. Simply to save time. Obviously, that was a good proof for why you might want to do that if you're building a real application to make sure that you actually show an error if something goes wrong. Now, however, I do use my auth token for orders too. So let's retry that all. Let's do a full refresh here and then log back in. Here with our data like this. And now actually add this again to the cart, place that order, and now go to the orders screen. And now here are the orders. Here's our latest order. Let's also try to manage our products and add a new product here. So we add some book, for example, 29.99. This is a book. And then here use the same image I used before. And then save this. So this seemed to work. Let's also check it on Firebase to be super safe. There, if we have a look at our data, in products, there is a third element, and that is the element I just added. Let's now also edit it to see whether that also works. Maybe the title and the price, and add a couple of exclamation marks here. That's looking good. Let's go to the shop real quick and view it there as well. I see the price, I see the exclamation marks down there. Back to managing, let's delete it. And this also worked, it's gone here. So this all works. Now, missing pieces are that we automatically log the user in when there is a valid token and the user just closed the app or reloaded the app somehow. We also want to make sure that the user is able to log out. And of course, we also want to make sure that we scope orders and favorite status to a user. So that if you hit favorite, you don't change the overall configuration of that product, but instead you just change it for your user for this product, and that you also have your own orders instead of having a generic global pool of orders which everyone can access. That makes no sense. In addition, it also makes sense that we add our user ID here to the products so that when we try to manage the products here, we actually only load products for our ID, so for our user, and not all products. All products should only be loaded here on the shop page. So the next steps will be on scoping data to our user, making sure it belongs to our user before we then work on the auto login and log out functionality.